Okay, hi everyone, and welcome. My name is Emily Rich. I am the Director of Startups for Asia Pacific for Microsoft. I'm here today with a very special guest who I'm interviewing. I am going to let him introduce himself, his startup, and what your startup does.
Thanks, Emily. Thanks. So my name is Sulayman. I'm the commercial director of Betacard. So what we're doing with Betacard is addressing one of the few remaining analog processes that still exist in our lives today, and it's basically covering business cards and contacts management. And if you take a second to think about it, you'll notice that most of the practices these days have gone from sort of an analog process to very digital and online. From speaking, we text these days, and file storage and sharing of like news and all that. And we don't even hail cabs anymore. So our smartphones now, sort of in particular, they govern a lot of our lives today. But we print paper cards today, and that takes a bunch of time, and we carry paper cards, which takes up a bunch of space. We receive paper cards, which we struggle to organize. And Emily, I'm sure like you have a drawer full of like business cards and all that. So that's exactly what I'm referring to. And so Betacard is all about solving those pain points. And yeah, we built an end-to-end digital business card contacts management and credential management platform that individuals and companies can create their own digital cards. Companies can create a card template, completely customizable. So in that is kind of a very first in this space. They can share these cards around. They place whatever details on it, share it around to everyone, even those that aren't on the platform. And back to what I was saying before, you can store everything in one place, which is the app. And that's fantastic, because everything that is sort of updated on these cards is reflected on the platform. And so everyone sees that update and can get in touch with you and connect with you with your most up-to-date details. Yeah. And if you have any of those business cards left, you can scan them in. So we have that function too.
And one question on that: if I don't want to download the app, and I know you said that you don't have to, how does that get shared then? In what format is that shared?
Yeah, so we share it in via a link or a QR code, and especially in Malaysia, QR codes are scanned quite frequently. So everyone has a built-in QR scanner. And so what that does is it takes you to your smartphone browser. You can add the details straight to your phone book, or download the card through the app there. So it's almost a two-click process, and
Okay.
you have everyone's details. Yeah.
And what are you seeing as the biggest challenge for you at the moment?
Yeah. So with I guess our biggest challenge is when you think about it, with everything new that's being introduced. There's a saying that goes, it takes up slowly and then suddenly, right? So it's a behavioral thing. We are sort of shifting that mindset from the traditional paper cards to a more digital space. All the folks that we've kind of spoken to, they understand the need for it, the change, and that this is going to be a norm in the future. And there's a whole bunch of perks that come with digital as well, that make it far superior to a analog and traditional process. And Betacard is a productivity tool that can handle that as well.
So
And
it's an educational thing, right? It's partly educating people on
Yes.
this digitalization of what was such a traditional process for so many years.
Absolutely, absolutely, and a lot of people are very used to it and stand by it and
Yes.
are traditionally inclined that way. But you know, we've obviously had some success with that sort of segment of people, and also more success with those that are more sort of open to it and are willing to, you know, go into more digital solutions.
Okay, great. And talking about the relationship that you now have with Microsoft, what would, what are you hoping to achieve through, are there any expansion plans into other markets? How can companies like Microsoft help you do things like that? I mean, we're a massive company, you're a small startup. How do you see that, companies like ours can help for your plans for expansion?
Absolutely. Well, Microsoft is, you know, they've already been helping out. We've tapped on a couple of the technical guys to sort of set up our Azure base, and you know, that is like crucial for the whole scalability of the platform as well. And we've also spoken to some of, I guess, you know, in some of your business guys, that what they can sort of do for us in terms of introducing us to a more enterprise base. Um, and you know, the commercial marketplace, for example, is something that's very important on our list to implant ourselves into. You know, there's a whole bunch of integration that we'd love to do with Microsoft, because you know, Microsoft's platform is massive. You have millions of users on that platform itself. Um, Even Teams, what we're on right now, it's frequented daily by, you know, probably over 100 million users, and you know, for us, with our relationship with Microsoft, that's a particularly powerful audience that we can hit, because you know, video calls are very important these days. Um, and 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 Betacard is built to adapt, and we've adapted some features. For example, our virtual backgrounds, which become a very powerful feature on video calls, because you can exchange contacts. You don't have to type my number in the chat bar, and I have to remember it and save it in my phone. So yeah, in the commercial sense, Microsoft has all the power to help us connect to different enterprises, to their individual users even. Um, and on the technical side, obviously, we will continue to rely on the technical expertise of the Azure team, and yeah, continue to build that out. And it's crucial for when we scale.
It's a good segue into my next question that I really wanted to ask you, which was, what are some of the key criteria for you when you're making technology decisions for your company? And that's not just talking about cloud platform. Obviously you're using Azure as your cloud platform, but how are you making, what are those key sort of criteria for you when you're making technology decisions? I know we spoke about, you don't need the app. You just send a link and you can use it on your phone, and you don't need to, you're obviously, what you're trying to do is, sort of mitigate some of those things which would stop people from using the
Absolutely.
application, right?
And maybe I can sort of just jump in there. So it's kind of that story of we when we first started using a certain, you know, chat platform. um, it's like your first friend tells you about it, and you're not on it. But your
Mm.
second friend tells you about it, you're not on it. But your third friend and your fourth friend that say, "Hey, come join us," you're probably going to download it, right? So the more that you see this coming around, the more likely it is that you'll download it and be a part of the Betacard community. So that's kind of our intention.
And
Um, but oh yeah, sorry, the criteria, the technology decisions, right? So I think it's very simple for us. I think like most startups, and like what most sort of forward-looking companies look today, is something that's quick, something that's reliable, that may have been proven, something that's seamless that we can integrate into what we're working on, our platform as well. And a key thing is also affordability. We're a small startup. We also need to factor that cost in.
Right. Yeah, that's a good one. Affordability is
Yeah.
very important.
Yeah, absolutely,
Super
absolutely.
important. Um, and so, being in the industry that you're in, it's how has COVID sort of affected or transformed your business? What has it done in your industry? What has it done for you?
Yeah.
What are you seeing?
So, we sort of started, we launched the app actually just as Malaysia went into lockdown. So
Good
risky
start.
or interesting move, some would say, but fortunately or unfortunately, for a lot of people, COVID has actually been the best digital transformation agent in the world. Like this whole year, people are more geared to looking towards something more digital, something contactless. So we're riding that sort of tailwind to some extent, and people and companies especially have been much more receptive to these products like digital products like Betacard. Um, that's convenient, that's contactless. Uh, what I mentioned about video calls before, that's commonplace these days. We
Mm.
factored that in. We've applied virtual backgrounds with your QR. If you pin my video right now, you will see like my QR card, and you can scan it and all that, and have all my details there. But also we've sort of adapted and kind of been a bit flexible in terms of uh, applying a new features for example, private tag. Emily, you're familiar with that basket at the front of cafes where you drop your card in, will update you on
Oh
what's
yeah.
happening with the latest. It's a similar concept. Say you set up a tag for a meeting, everyone sends their card in, dumps it there, and everyone's able to sort of extract everyone's details at once. So it's a convenient tool, especially for events, for meetings and virtual style events. Yeah.
I love that. I think the biggest thing in those when we were doing face-to-face meetings was, getting people's details and just then losing cards and
Yeah,
you know
it's a
I-
nightmare.
I'm that person that loses the cards, of course.
And
And
you're like thinking of this one person that you met that time, but I can't remember.
yeah,
It's like, there wasn't any process, well, for me, to sort of categorize that. And yeah, it's just something that should have evolved from the analog side. Uh,
yeah, and I think you're right on everyone that I've spoken to and everything that I'm seeing in market is that digital is just becoming normal, the norm now. And I think that's really helping a lot of startups out who are in these areas like you're changing a very, very old system
yeah,
and trying to, digitize that and get people to be comfortable with that. And we've already sort of started doing that with, people using Teams and people using Zoom and people who have never used those systems before, but they were forced to. And now now we're sort of seeing that, which is really interesting. And I hope that
absolutely.
it's driving for you in the
It
right way.
is. It
Yeah.
is, and we try to extract a lot of positives out of what's been going on around, and it is a good motivation because we our aim is actually to obviously to help people, and digital is helping people these days. Um, and yeah, and connectivity is especially important,
Mm,
in different aspects these days. So
mm.
yeah,
Okay, so I'm gonna sort of talk a little bit about highway and what what you have thought the impact of the Highway to 100 Unicorns program has been on Malaysia, and what these kind of programs can actually do to impact in driving economic growth. Obviously, we're talking about, you know, really making sure that we are very hyper focused, helping startups and driving, revenue, economic growth, all of those things. And what do you see the impact of programs like this in just in Malaysia, for example, where you're based?
So we have a lot of startups and we have a lot of great ideas here. And we need more programs like this to basically help the budding startup, like at a very early stage, because we do have a few programs here, but they're more for latter stage companies. And but for something like what the Highway to 100 Unicorns is it's really giving a boost to a lot of ideas that may have been not at that stage yet, where they can take advantage of these other programs that we have on the national level. And in my opinion, it's even better because what Microsoft has done with this program is opened up the region for us, allowed us to connect to different startups in the region that are going through similar issues and similar problems. And you can sort of get together. It's already a community. You can get together and problem solve that. And I think that's very powerful, and wouldn't have been able to do that without a program such as this. And it makes sense for other companies, more digital focused companies, to run programs like this to unearth all this talent and these ideas. So yeah, I think it's great. It's great.
Definitely.
Fantastic.
Yeah, definitely. I hope we just keep this growing and see more expansion in the region, not only from ourselves, but just in general from a lot of different companies. We're all in there to grow the ecosystem.
Yep.
All right, I have one last question before I let you go. What what is your business ambition? Your top one that you hope to achieve through the Highway to 100 Unicorns program?
Yeah, so we're obviously a Malaysian startup. We are very much entrenched in Malaysia and want to focus on Malaysia. But with the Highway 200 Unicorns, it's opened up the region, like I mentioned, and that's something that we definitely want to be a champion of the region in this space, and connect all these companies. Basically, we just want to help out in that regard, make it a lot easier. Turn the region into a bit more of a sustainable focused engine, so that you know it's these business cards stop being printed. Contacts are a lot more easier to be managed and stored, and there's a lot more productivity because everyone in the region has updated contacts, and you can connect to someone in Singapore or Vietnam, for example, just like that. So that's our number one goal. That's my number one sort of ambition for Betacard in the near future. Um, yeah, and
Right.
and Microsoft will definitely hopefully lend us a hand and connect us with those capabilities that they have.
Definitely. Okay, great. Well, thank you so much for talking to me today. This has been
No
great.
worries. It's been great. Yeah, no, thanks a lot, Emily. Really happy to be part of the program, and I know the team is also really excited to be working with the Azure guys, and very excited to kick off our partnership with Microsoft, and it's fantastic.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you so much. Thanks for your time, and we'll keep connected.
Yes, definitely, definitely. Thanks, Emily.
Okay. Thank you.
Bye bye.
Bye.